We are live.
Welcome back to the Happy Hoodlums podcast, everybody. It's your host, the Happy Hoodlum himself, Mr. Kemper Woodruff, and the Make It Happen Captain, the Meat Fortress himself, Mr. Zachary Sampson. Let's go. So, before we kick this bitch off, is there anything that's at the top of your mind?
Nope.
All right, because I got something on mine. I realized something today that is a fundamental truth of life, and I'd like to share it with everybody. Is that hot chicks lose everything. Okay?
What?
They can lose anything. A hot chick can lose a fucking car. But there's one thing that ugly chicks cannot do. Lose shit. An ugly chick that thinks that she's hot, the only place that she can lose some shit is within the confines of her purse. And you know if an ugly chick thinks she's hot because she's always arguing in line to return some shit at a store. And yeah, this is just something that I realized in life. A hot chick will lose a phone completely by accident, you know, and she can lose a car, she can lose herself, she can lose anything. It's something that just doesn't happen. Because no one's coming to save ugly chicks. And it's fucked up. It's a real crisis. It's a very irritating thing. But it's a part of life. And so I just figured I would give this public service announcement for some food for thought.
What sparked that
Because,
realization? That air quote fundamental truth.
my chick lost her phone, and I realized after the 36th phone that she's lost they can lose anything. And it's just something that happens. Because they will always get another phone. It'll be they can get unlimited phones. And that's not
I don't
something
necessarily
that
think that that's a fundamental trait of a hot chick. I think that's a fundamental trait of someone who doesn't have their shit together. Because people can be hot and not lose shit. If you have your shit together, you're not going to lose your shit.
Dude, they're few and far between.
I don't know. I think it might be the hot chicks you're fucking with.
Never know.
You gotta fuck with some more put together hot chicks.
I don't know.
Yep,
I don't know
that's
about that.
that's a hard truth for you, buddy. But if you're fucking with chicks that constantly lose shit, that's a problem. They don't have their life together.
Nah, dude, shit just happens. It's part of being hot.
I've never lost a phone. I've never actually even met a chick that's lost a phone.
Well, I mean, that might be the hard truth right there. How hot are the chicks that you're dealing with?
I've met a lot of hot chicks.
They lose their phones. I guarantee it. I guarantee it.
Lose their phones to the point they have to buy a new one? No.
Oh, yeah, dude. We'll have to do a poll. Do hot chicks lose everything? Guarantee you.
That means they just don't have their life together. That's a fact.
Yes.
I'm sorry, but if you can't keep track of a fucking cell phone, is 2x3, 2x4.
It happens, dude.
You can't fucking keep track of it? Nah.
They might be feeling some towels in a store, and they don't even realize it. They set it down in a stack of towels, and now you can't hear it.
Well, that's just somebody who is just absent-minded.
AirTags can't save them. It just is what it is.
I don't think that's a hot chick trait. I think that's a mindless person trait. It's a lack of mindfulness.
It just happens that way, dude. I guarantee you. They'll misplace anything.
I know a lot of people who misplace shit.
Yeah. I don't know.
Ugly, not ugly.
It's an official hot chick trait. But
I think it's an official anybody trait. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
I don't know. We brought Mr. Logic to the party tonight.
Yeah, you can lose. Anybody can lose fucking something if you're just fucking clueless enough.
No shit, but statistically, it happens to hot chicks way more than ugly chicks. I'm telling you.
I doubt that.
Oh man, I guarantee it.
Okay. Well, that's probably because a lot of hot chicks are fucking stupid.
Well, can't have everything.
Yeah, well, you could try.
Or so
You just
they
gotta
say.
be a little fucking smarter. It's not
But
that
you know what
hard.
it is? Everyone has their own kryptonite. You know what I mean?
Of
And
course.
being easily distracted isn't necessarily the worst kryptonite if you're a highly enthusiastic person that enjoys life. But doesn't necessarily equate to success or successful traits. And that is where the rubber meets the road, folks. That is where Zachary Sampson shines. That is where the mundane brain takes over and makes a system that will make you gay. That's why he's a meat fortress, amongst many other things.
Sure.
Just the most lackluster answer ever. I love you. All right. So I guess what's new in your world, motherfucker? What you been contemplating? What you been reading?
I've been reading a book by David Goggins called
What's it called?
Never Finished.
Okay, his second book.
Yeah.
How has it been so far?
Um,
What's the texture? What's the takeaways?
I'm not very far into it. I'm like maybe closing in on the end of chapter 2.
Okay.
And it's helping me realize a lot of shit that I've already realized about myself. But a way to think about it differently, and
What kind of things are you reflecting on? What's it identified in yourself that struck a chord?
I haven't told. There was I've only told one person this recently.
Okay.
And it's the fact that I just don't feel worthy for shit, for anything.
Mm.
And I don't feel like the things that I'm doing allow me to be worthy for the life that I want, the life that I want to provide for the people that I care about. And then that on its own is paralyzing to the point where it halts my my progress. And then
Mm.
I look at, and I also probably have a weird subconscious fear of succeeding. And I don't know. It's just like within 2 chapters, this book has made my eyes tear up several times.
Wow.
And I'm not even finished with the second chapter.
That's a good read. That's all self-image shit, and
Yeah.
that self-talk that'll get you through that darkness. And I think that's something that a lot of people really wrestle with. Everybody does, in fact, and I think that's what truly makes us plateau in life, and where you lose that fucking steam is that self-image. If you can just cultivate yourself to be the person that has that shit, you know, be the person that's deserving of it, you know, be the person that has the habits that you're already a success, I think that's why that's what exercise locked in me, was that exercise makes you proud of who you are with nothing. Just strict exertion, you know? And I think that's something that David Goggins really exemplifies so well in all his pursuits of marathon running, and even things like how he's gotten into public speaking after really going through a lot of like guilt and shame. And he's someone that you talk about like hard truths, right? You mentioned that kind of thing. Hard truths is like being able to look at things in ourselves, limiting beliefs, and accept that that shit isn't fucking real. You know, that's the most bitch made shit ever, because it's us creating an image that is contrary to our who we really are. Who you want to be is who you really are. And that's who you're gonna be once you get all this shit out of the way. You know? And it's just figuring out how to reprogram your subconscious, because that's where the self-image thing lies. I think I told you about that book, Psycho Cybernetics.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that book is all about self-image, and how self-image and the subconscious mind really is the greatest influencing factor on high output, you know, and success overall. And the power of imagination and who you determine yourself to be, self determination, you know, whatever you attach I am to, especially with feeling, is really like what you become. And so you even being able to look at that is huge. You being able to identify that, like, that's step one, is accepting, like, all right, this shit's there. Well, what do I do about it? Your conscious will tell you that. It's always calling you, you know? That's where that Wes Watson shit changed my life, because he was basically explaining, like, that feeling of guilt in your consciousness is something that everyone is accountable for. And interestingly enough, I was watching an interview with Stan Lee right before this podcast, and he was talking about how his big break, you know, kind of came not only with Spider-Man, but with the Fantastic Four. Was like, he was kind of in this market, or like working at this comic book place that was just like floundering, and the two dudes that he was basically an intern for wound up getting fired for some reason. And he was like 17 years old, and the dude was just like, can you keep this place going? And he was like, all right, you know. And he was really just looking for someone to replace those two dudes he'd fired. But eventually Stan Lee wound up, you know, kind of taking control of that with the Fantastic Four. And he was talking about how he just really wanted to write stuff for himself. And he had some good success with that, from what I understand. And it continued until there was kind of a lackluster phase in his life. And he was like, I don't even really want to do this shit, because I'm writing things that aren't what I want to do. They're not what calls to me. They don't seem like real people. And it just wasn't relatable to him. He felt like he wasn't doing what he really wanted to do, and sure as hell not at the level he wanted to do it at. And something came across his path, and it was called like The Amazing Something. And he decided to put The Amazing Spider-Man as a feature in this little like comic, just on a whim, because they were going to cancel the comic anyways.
Mm-hmm.
So he was like, fuck it. And at the worst case scenario, if they get mad at me for doing it, because he'd already pitched Spider-Man to his boss, who hated it. And he was like, well, I'm just going to try it anyways. And if they fire me, hey, I get fired. But at least I gave it my best shot, and I did what was authentic. I did it for me.
Yeah.
You know? to get it out of my system. And he does it, and they wind up having a smash hit in the sales with this last, one. And it was clear what had happened. It was the Spider-Man thing that he decided to put on the front of it. And he was basically saying the moral of the story is do it for you. Whatever it was that you needed, whether it's you giving it to the earlier version of yourself, knowing what you know now, or you just creating what you need currently for the you of the future, in a sense, you got to do it. Whatever's authentic to you in that way. And I think, honestly, with this podcast, we've done a pretty damn good job of kind of analyzing life and giving a lot of stuff that if someone watched from episode 1 now, they'd be a different person in a better way, I believe. That's got to count for something. But you just know that your aptitude and your bar is up here, and you got to hit that shit. And you're in the process of figuring out how to get up there, And in order for you to get up there, you got to get over your current self, self-identity. Because you might have just defined yourself and taken score of yourself not only too early, but using some whack terms, using some shit that isn't really gonna matter in the long run. That's all gonna be stuff that falls off, and it's just gonna be give you lessons that you can provide to somebody else. And really, that in living by what you learn as you navigate this is gonna make you be the man that receives all that stuff that you're wanting. That's the truth. That shit is fucking lonely, bro. It's something that only you can navigate.
Yeah.
And does it kind of overwhelm you, not knowing what to do, or like what you did before has kind of capped out? It's not working anymore. You got to integrate some new discovery or something.
Yeah. And another big part is like, I don't know what I want to do or where I want to go, and I also don't know like I'm not the greatest at redirecting the things that I do. And so like changing course isn't very like, it's not easy for me. And so even on top of that, I don't even know exactly what causes me to feel like I'm not worthy and shit like that. I don't know what causes those feelings. And so identifying the reason why doesn't make any sense because I don't know where it comes from. And trying to figure out what direction to go in next is extremely difficult because I'm a very in the present, in the moment person in terms of like what I'm doing. I don't think about like when I'm in a conversation, I don't think about what I'm going to say next in response to what the person is saying. Right? I think about what I'm going to say after they're done talking. And then that's why if someone just doesn't stop talking, I don't talk. Right? And it's the same way with like the things that I do with life in general. It's just like I pick and then I do, and then if that doesn't work, then I have to take a quite a bit of time, the same way that I pause and think before I talk sometimes. I do that in life where I have these moments of pausing and thinking, and then it feels a lot like I'm not doing shit, and then I start feeling real down. And then I get lost again where I'm like, oh fuck, I'm in this moment and I don't know where I want to go. And I don't know if the direction I've picked is going to be what gives me what I want. Because then, like, okay, so for an extreme example, like, of what's actually going on, I'm studying to become a personal trainer. I've paid for the courses. I've got 3 certifications lined up, right?
Yep.
And I'm looking at these other trainers that I know, and not only are they making like fucking barely anything unless you're able to be a master salesman, right? Um, but there's like, unless, and so with that seemingly lack of like financial success through being personal trainers from the ones that I've seen, right? I don't know if it's really gonna deliver the results that I want.
Well, bro, it will to the aptitude that you use it. So I just got to cut you off real quick on you are the fucking exception. And that has to be the mind state. You got to fucking know that those motherfuckers are not applying the shit and not willing to continue to diversify and learn what the fuck they need to do. Who the fuck cares? You got to market some shit sometimes. And everyone's selling something. And when you realize that selling isn't bad because you are the product, and you realize a motherfucker should look at themselves and be as proud as you are of, you know how valuable your fucking journey through the gym is? You're discrediting the shit out of it, Zach. From who you were when you were before you got into the gym and into weightlifting to what the gym has provided for you and the man that it's made you become, fuck the money. The money's gonna come. That's why I'm saying success is fucking inevitable. When you work the process right and do not give up and you're diligent in your discovery. And what I can tell you is it all gets used. Every fucking bit of your journey gets used. And to the level that you're willing to dive deep within yourself and navigate the shit that you're doing right now, you know, that's like alternatively, the deeper you go this way and the more you're willing to share that shit, the more valuable your shit is. Because people are waiting and they're like, there's people like what you know could save somebody's fucking life from just something that you've navigated. And it doesn't have to be some crazy experience like, you know, say me with like my dad or my best friend dying like that. You know what I mean? It doesn't have to be that. There's a lot of people that will never have that life and they're not meant to, you know? That's not what's required of them to get to their purpose and to wring that fucking rag of experience and the blood, sweat, and tears that it's filled with out to fucking fertilize some soil in someone's mind so that way they can grow. They can become more of themselves, you know? A lot like don't take score of the trainers in our gym with all love, you know, my hat's off. I hope that everyone does the best that they can. But at best, they're fucking lame ass fucking trainers. I don't give a fuck. A lot of them got fat on their stomach still. They ain't got fucking 6-packs, most of them. That's why shout out to motherfucking Stephen Kang, who we had on here, busting the 8-pack and getting on his shit. But you know, don't give a fuck if you're a power lifter. You got no excuse. You got no excuse for that. You know? If that's you fucking holding yourself to a standard that you're not willing to step beyond, you know, that's you lying to yourself and not accepting the harsh truths that your discipline is lacking in the area of your diet and exercise output. You haven't reformulated, you gave up, you plateaued, and you're okay with it. And worse than plateauing, you went downhill from where you were at your peak, and you're now going to try and fucking sell that to somebody else. Your work is stepped on. It's shit, homie. You tried to cut it down and water it down and then sell it like it's the real thing. You got it fucked up. That's not how the game goes. You know, you can't cut corners because the slow way to success requires you going through the process. And that process takes the time that it takes. A Ferrari costs what the fuck it costs. The body that you want costs the amount of fucking time that it takes you to put in the fucking energy and the to not only educate yourself on how to do it, but to output the effort to actually fucking make it happen. You know? So don't gauge yourself on that. That's where the logical side of your mind, like the reasoning mind, needs to get the fuck out of the way. You know? And it reminds me of this dude who was a Delta guy that I went and did that training with, John Shrek McPhee. He was explaining what gets people killed and what doesn't get people killed in combat, and neurological wiring in the brain and everything. And he said, basically, the fight or flight impulse, the guy that's running on instinct and habit, where you look and say, I want to shoot there. As soon as you look there, that's where your fucking rifle's going. If you second guess that and go, oh, well, maybe it is, maybe it isn't, that's when someone dies because you didn't fucking shoot fast enough. Whether it's you or someone on your team, because he was a sniper, he was like, if I even started to like get any words in my brain going, is it good enough? He was like, I just started to shorten that time. He was like, to the point where I was like, and he was like, yes, it is good. And he'd take the shot. You know, and in life, you got to take your fucking shot. Because what's killing you is what I call unknown statistics. Shit that doesn't exist. Because the opportunity came in the form of a thought to your mind. And you reasoned your way out of it. You didn't fucking swing at that pitch. It could have been a fucking home run. And even if you whiffed it, so what? You know, that's the shit where I think there's this scale, right? Where some people are born extremely talented in the beginning. Like I was extremely talented at a lot of things. So I'm speaking from experience. And I kept trying to shortcut my way to success. I wasn't okay with it being incremental and slow progress, you know? I didn't want to track it. I didn't want to do anything like that. I just wanted to be fucking there. And I knew that my ideas were good enough, but I was always looking for a way to make them happen that skirted the process. So I didn't have to put the effort in or do what I needed to do to actually get it, you know? So I'm speaking from experience, and like, I also look at some of my friends, incredible fucking athletes, dudes that were the fucking man in high school. And you look at them now, and they leaned on that talent for so long that they got to a point, you know, where they're like 26 to 30, you know, somewhere in there. And they realize, oh shit, I stopped doing the process. I'm not the man like I was in high school. And all that shit that I was set up to get easy early, I didn't really honor with skills and the process and the daily grind of someone who didn't fucking have that. You know? And those people fall off fucking hard. Some of them never get back on track. But then there's those motherfuckers that are like, all right, I wasn't the man. I wasn't the man in high school. I wasn't who I wanted to be. And they put in that, you know, that effort and got out of that average place and started becoming more of who they envisioned themselves to be because they were willing to work that process. And then all of a sudden you meet up with somebody and it was like, oh, every dog has his day, huh? Yeah. And some people, it's like you were meant to go all the way up here, but all of a sudden you get out of high school, you get out of that talent zone, that early talent, and now you're afraid to swing at pitches because you feel like you're in the big league. And what happens if I'm not that? That doubt creeps in. You gotta fucking eradicate that shit, bro. Eradicate it. You are not one of those motherfuckers. And why? Because you fucking said it. Because you determined it your fucking self. That's where you gotta just get with the, you know, it'll figure itself out. I don't need to know all the logistics. An 80% plan now is better than a 100% plan later. Now I can do something and I can amend. My 80% plan now is going to beat that 100% plan someday. So you got a gift in being right here, right now. There's so many people that can't get out of their fucking heads. They're crying over yesterday or worried about tomorrow. If you're right here, right now, that means you're doing it right. You just got to do more. And you got to choose what you want. Choose it because it feels good, because it is you, because it matters to you, because it changed your life, because you love that shit. And then push that shit to the motherfucking stars, bro. Doesn't matter about how many people don't buy your shit. The ones that need it will. And that's why I was saying the fundamental truth, it isn't about religion, it's about belief. Do you believe or do you not? When you have an idea, do you fucking believe it or do you fucking doubt it? That's what determines the aptitude of people's success, bro. And it all comes down to self-image. And that could have been a little bit softer tonality, but it's fucking important. Fuck that. That's bullshit. And it may be real shit that you're dealing with, but it's fucking bullshit. And you gotta keep that shit extra real with yourself. Are you talking yourself out of something or talking yourself into something? Because to me, it sounds like you're trying to rationalize how to talk yourself into something, and it doesn't work because at the end of the day, you want it just because you want it. And you got to accept, based on the merit of the man that you are in your heart, that it's something good. And that something good for you is going to be good for other people. You know, every dollar that you earn changing someone else's life, that is something you can be proud of. You know? And if you can do it on a massive fucking scale or even on a small scale, doesn't really matter. The fulfillment comes from that process of giving, you know? So you can look at the humanity as like a tribe, you know? And right now everyone wants to be validated, you know, for what they give, but you validated in here, bro. So nobody can take it away from you. There's been days that I've come on here fucking empty. But I knew that if I just had one thing that reached somebody, that made them go through their day or look at life and be like, bro, you can still function broken. Until you realize that you're not broken, you're fucking infinite. And you keep going at different capacities, but as long as you keep going, you're fucking unstoppable. One day you look back and you're like, I did all that, and it all mattered. And my story is validating. You know? And if you feel like you got more to give, then you just got to give more, bro. And think of better ways to give if what you're giving ain't impactful enough in the way that you're giving it. I support that shit to the end of the motherfucking line. There's been so many days when I was out, like I was out of commission. And it might not have seemed like it because I can scratch some words and put them together, even on my worst days. But bro, there's been shit that you've helped me through that's like heavy. Just don't feel bad if you're in a heavy spot, you know? That's the real shit. That's where that work comes in. That's where the test is. That's where you really meet yourself, you know? Who am I in the unknown? How do I navigate this shit? What are you thinking now? After that long-winded pep talk. Because I can tell you right now, if you're still questioning you're the man, you need to do some motherfucking push-ups and regain that positive mental state, you know? Exert yourself a little bit. It'll take you out of your head and put you back in your body and recover that strength. Because that physical state, that physical strength, is deeper than just like the aesthetic. You know, the aesthetic comes as the byproduct. But what it sheds off of you and shows you that you got strength and more and more and more in you. That's that shit. Shows you what your spirit's made of, bro. What you flirting with? What's that thought, bro? You gotta let that shit out, homie. Because you know that wall that you build, it keeps other shit from coming in and keeps you from going out. You know? And you'll never find comfortable in that caged version of yourself, bro. You gotta be free. You gotta be free and get down with that fucking energy, bro. I am where I am, and I am who I am, but I'm going where the fuck I said I'm going. Come hell or high water, you know?
Yeah.
That silence is loud right now, Zach. I'll tell you right now, it's fucking loud. Wherever you're at in your mind, I already know. It's fucking loud right now. Like as men, we don't really talk about navigating the shit that really plagues us. That really brings us to who we are as a child, where we feel lost. That's why I tell you when I talk about God is because God acknowledges me in that place where I'm fucking lost, where I'm dealing with the child in me. And I don't know why I am the way that I am sometimes. And I have to give it up, reveal it to me. And it comes through your own mind.
Yeah.
That direction, you know, it comes through in your own fucking inner voice, you know, in your spirit. And it moves you. And there's places that like you're not supposed to be fucking comfortable. Why? Because you're not meant to stay there. Because you're already beyond it, but you can't help but keep revisiting this stumbling block, this fucking thing, you know? and you'll get over it one way or the other. And it's like a lot of self-image things is a combination of deciding who the fuck you are and letting it go that you've not been that you've not lived up to that shit, that you failed before. You know, you got to let it go. When you accept it and let go of it, all that baggage, you know, that detachment, and you just seek to give with no expectation. Not because there's things that are coming back, but because that's what the fuck I do. That's who I am, and that's what the fuck I do. And I set out on this motherfucking conquest, and it lit a fire in my soul because I know there's someone that fucking feels like this, and I hate to know that they felt like this, and I'm gonna get them out of that shit. You know? All systems can fail, but it doesn't mean that you're a failure. You know? When it all goes, when everything that you were taking score by, and this is the fucking facade of life, you know? If you're still validated by something outside of yourself, it's gonna fucking fail you at some point. God's gonna fucking show you it's gonna fucking fail because it's about the spirit, it's about the inner man, it's about who you are in here, not anything out fucking there. That's why the rational mind, the eyes, the logic, it isn't fucking made to guide your soul, bro. Your soul guides itself in here. And the point is, if you can't believe that you really fucking want to believe, that's the fucking point. How do I get rid of this fucking fact that I can't help but try and rationalize this shit that is gnawing at me, saying you can fucking do it. You are doing it. Do it, do it, do it, do it. And it won't shut the fuck up. Won't stop. You got one choice: to swing at those pitches, whether you hit it or not, until one of these days, whack, out the fucking park. That's that shit. That's what life is about. That's what makes you a man. That's what makes you worthy of sharing your story. That's what gives weight to your fucking story. To more than what words can fucking say. It's who you are. And someone walks up to you and you just go, I don't know what it is about that motherfucker, but they make me feel better. That's that fucking dude right there. He's the fucking shit. Something about that guy reaches in here. You know? That's how I felt when I'm fucking sitting there with a concussion throwing up in front of the school, and guess what? Here's Paul Miller fucking patting my back. I got fucking 300 plus people watching me fucking puke. People saying you got beat up, this and that. Half of them weren't even fucking there. You know? None of them had a fucking black eye in their whole life. Don't know. And sure as fuck didn't have no business talking shit to me, because I'll fuck you up if you only knew. You know, and I'm sitting here puking my fucking guts out, you know? And he's just patting me on my back going, don't even worry about it, bro. Just stay right here. That shit happens to all of us, bro. You just got to get that shit out of you. That's love. That's a man. That's a friend you can trust. Someone that's been there. You know? We got this fucking soft ass society that doesn't, you know, really validate the struggle that it takes to be the motherfucker that has what they really deserve, what they determined, you know, that's so contrary to what their fucking story tells them. You know, on paper, they shouldn't have had it, but guess what, motherfucker, they got it. They really were that motherfucker all along. You know? That's why at times, bro, I haven't listened to music in a while, bro, because it'll take me to a place, you know, that honestly, it's like I'll have fucking tears in my eyes because I don't even know how to navigate this emotion within inside of myself, you know? But all I know is every time I force myself to go back to that place and I allow that feeling to just bubble up inside of me, bro, oh man, a new level of myself comes out where I'm working and I'm cleansing and I'm purifying myself. I'm just fucking in there just getting after it. That's why I got to go to the gym 2 times a day sometimes. Because that shit snuck back up on me. It ain't about fucking science telling me this is good, this is bad. I got to do it. My soul needs this, bro. I don't care if I'm lifting 5 pound weights, you know? Whatever it is, you got to sit down with it, bro. Illusions feel real, but they ain't real, bro. They're only as real as you make them to be. That shit make you feel like a little kid sometimes, feel kind of lost. That shit happens to me. I know that much. And you can try not to go there, but it's going to keep calling you. But don't let life shut you up. Stop telling your story, bro. Like, it's those deep, impactful chapters that people need to hear, you know? It's like, I can't remember who it was, but it's a really famous American author, and he said if you're not blushing when you're writing, then you're not really saying anything important. That's like you're not really going deep if you're not kind of a little bit on that edge of like if you're not really facing yourself, you know? But I'm gonna need you to give us something so we can have some closing thoughts. We put that hour in. You showed up, and you never know when someone's gonna listen to this motherfucking podcast and realize, yo, that's where I'm at. That's something I'm dealing with. Hopefully, they got something out of it. But I'm gonna need you to wrap up the message, big dog.
There's a lot of times when actually the majority of the time, pretty much all the time, that I don't talk about my problems because in a lot of ways I don't feel like they are important enough for other people to need to hear about them. Like when someone else is telling me about their shit, it doesn't seem like when I know what they're going through and then to go and tell them about the shit I'm going through, it doesn't seem the shit that I'm going through doesn't seem as heavy as theirs. And so I keep it to myself. And so talking about shit isn't a normal thing for me. It's not a common occurrence, right? When, and this is not me saying anything bad about you, but when you and I have a lot of conversations, it's not about me, right? When I have other conversations with other people, it's not about me. It's about what they're going through. It's about what is troubling their minds. And so I have a hard time discussing these types of things because I'm too used to uh, figuring it out on my own. And like I get into these places of like the unworthy feeling, right? There's
Mm-hmm.
I'm not like the feelings about the trainer thing don't stop me from continuing to go forward. It slows me down, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um and so I'm not talking myself out of it because I still want to do it and I still, I'm still trying to figure out ways to uh get through the material so that I can take the test and get certified and shit like that. Um and on top of everything, with like the feeling of like, will I be successful enough to be able to make it a thing that fulfills me, right? I'm a terrible student. And this was a fact in high school. I'm not a very strong studier. Uh, and so figuring out how to do that in a way that helps me retain the information has been difficult. And I've slowly been able to like tweak things here and there and get to a point where I'm like, okay, this is starting to work for me. Um but I'm not sure how much of it I'm retaining, right? And then on top of that, in a lot of ways, I'm not sure what I actually want.
Well, from the sound of it, brother, and it's been a reoccurring theme of you feeling like stuck in a sense. Um, your this unworthiness construct that you're navigating, that everyone navigates at some point in their life, you are allowing that thing to lie dormant, and you're projecting it subconsciously into all these other areas, and that's why you don't talk about yourself. And I understand also that it's like when you're on your own and you're like, well, it might seem like a pretty mundane or like easy thing to fix, and you're gonna fix it. The fix is inevitable for you to get from this phase to the next phase, right? It's gonna happen. But what's really mattering is the emotional reason for why this situation has occurred. And it may not just be in your training, it might be in a relationship. It, like, whether that's a friendship or an intimate relationship, a family relationship. It might be in another area of study that you've done before. And it's still the same thing, this reoccurring theme of unworthiness. So it's not really about you being a good or bad student, right? Because it's not learning the right answer to just check the box. It's learning how to think in the way, in this realm, you know? so you can push the envelope, so you can strive to have an original thought, come up with the Zach Sampson way of doing it that might not be 100% right on the test. All you need is enough to pass the test and get the certs. But once you've gotten the certs, are you just going to stick by this book of, well, this is what it says to do? Or are you going to be someone that creates something brand fucking new? Or re-engineers things in just one way? Maybe the way that you do something helps people that are visually impaired or something. And you come up with a way of exercising that works for people that 95% of the world would never even consider that a big deal. But to the people that fucking live that reality, it's a fucking game changer. Doesn't matter about the 95% that fucking don't get it. Those 5%, even if only 1% of that 5% actually come and find your stuff and are affected by it, you just changed a ton of motherfuckers' lives that really needed this shit, that might have counted themselves out. And so, like, I say all that to go back to this thing of like, your problems seem mundane because they're yours.
No, they seem
And
mundane in comparison to the shit that other people are going through. Like,
well, I guess what I'm saying is like, you don't understand how bad, well, you probably do, but you're discrediting how bad just a blah kind of existence fucking is. You know how many people wake up, go to a job that they don't really like, come back home, have to rush to the grocery store or sitting in line at the grocery store. They're just not really, they're just fucking treading water. Yeah, they're doing this thing and they're caught in this cycle. It's super mundane, but it's a huge fucking problem. It's a massive problem. It's crippling their whole fucking life. It's crippling them in every area of life, you know? And so I get like not wanting to project your problems onto someone else. 100%. Don't do that. But there's something to be said with just being able to be where you're at and share something because it is valuable. Why? Because it's where you're at. Because you're valuable. Your journey is valuable. And it doesn't mean be like a couple girls or just like people sitting there just complain, you know, without problem solving. But don't allow that shit to create a trend in your life, you know? And it might stop with something as simple as honoring your experience. And you never know when that like mundane seeming thing is something someone else can really fucking relate to. I believe it or not, um, the whole complaining about complaining thing bugs the shit out of me. So I'm right there with you. But I'm drawn to try and help people with things. That's a part of who I am, you know? But that doesn't mean that I don't need help or that I can only help people with the shit that I fucking figured out for myself, you know? And I'm gonna give it to you exactly how the fuck I figured it out. Maybe it works for you, maybe it doesn't, you know? I'm not gonna be everybody's teacher, but I'll still try and show up for anybody that fucking seeks me out for help, you know?
yeah.
And that's why I'm trying to find better, more diverse ways to do that. And this podcast is one of them. And I couldn't have done this without you. Because in a similar way, we're kind of one and the same on that. Problem solvers. And so by all means get get the job done, check the box to get it done. But once you get in that bitch and you've passed that test that you need for your credentials, even if you never got the credentials, do it your way. You'll get the result. And get the result and then teach someone else how you got it. Exactly how the fuck you did it for you. Because otherwise, like, if that problem of that reoccurring thing isn't being solved, you're not reflecting on it hard enough. You haven't navigated it quite yet. And, just stuffing it down doesn't mean that it's not going to show itself through this, how you do everything that you do. Because it's how you identify yourself. If you identify yourself as unworthy, everything that you do is gonna have that fucking underpinning of it. The truth is, Zach, you're fucking exceptional. And you just want to tell yourself and believe that shit. And you haven't figured out how to let yourself believe it yet. But in time, you're gonna look at your fucking journey. You're gonna look at you, who you've become through your journey, and say, I am everything I fucking say I am. And that's going to unlock that thing in your brain. I am everything I say I am. So what do I want to be? And I'm going to say it before that fucking validation comes, before I have all the views, before I have all the followers, before anyone might look at me and say, that's the fucking dude. You say that I am that guy. That's what it means to be self-mastered. That's what everyone fucking wants. And they can try and knock somebody who has it while they're in the process of finding out, but they'll never fucking feel good about it. So it doesn't matter about the unbelievers. It matters about the believers. And do it to the point that you're fucking undeniable. And when you get to that motherfucking point, however long it fucking takes, not only are you going to be satisfied, but oh boy, when you have that spotlight on you, and you're not even asking for it, you fucking earned it. Can't get rid of it. I am it. I accept it. Those motherfuckers are going to come begging for what you know. There's going to be people that don't believe because they can't believe what you have for yourself. They can't believe it for themselves. That's who we call fucking haters. Fuck a hater. I'm going to shine on them motherfuckers till they believe. And that's the way you got to look at it. I'm going to do the most fucking outrageous, unbelievable shit just so you can see it can be done. Some people will hate me. A lot of people will love me. And I exist outside of all of that. I don't do it for all of this shit. I do it for this. Because I said I am that shit. I said I am it. I said it all along. So whatever you've been telling yourself all along, just know you are it. And this process is just stripping away the fucking layers in between you and accepting that you are literally everything you've determined yourself to be. And you just gotta let yourself do it. And do it to the fucking utmost at whatever level that you're at, to the ends of the fucking line. Straight up. Don't ever fucking get comfortable in that cage because it won't fucking work. My mom used to tell me a mind that's expanded can never contract. You know too much. Once you know you want something, you have to allow yourself to have it, or you will never ever be satisfied. You can't talk yourself out of it. You can only talk yourself into it. And so if you're going to talk yourself into it, you got to push it to the fucking utmost of whatever you can conceive. You got to get it. Why? Because you know it exists for you. I got the image. And figuring it out is really all just a part of the process. It's already figured out. That's why I say everything's going to get used. All the stupid situations and things that you've navigated that seem little, it's all going to get used. You know, things you learned in another area that seems like you're not applying it, the day will come that you will apply it. It all gets used. Oh man. I got foam roll my shit out, son.
You know that shit's all that doesn't work. It's superficial.
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah. Unfortunately. It makes you feel like you're loosening up and stretching. But the amount of force that you need to be able to do that is fucking insane.
Yeah, you gotta get something fucking ridiculous, but it feels good.
It
It
does
does
feel
something.
good.
I
Does
don't know
feel
what it
good.
does, but it does something.
I just use it to pop my back, really, at this point.
Yeah, man.
So,
Well, that's actually kind of what I'm sitting here trying to twist in this chair and do. But I love you, dude.
I love you too, bro.
To everybody that's watching, we'll be back at you better than ever next week. You know, I know y'all missed the intro. We're having a little bit of technical difficulties, and everything's getting sorted out. You know, sometimes you have an off day, off week, whatever the fuck it is, but off season never lasts, right? Anyways, storms come and go. We love y'all. Thank you for sticking around. We'll catch you next week. Peace.